Welcome back, terrestrials, to whatever the fuck we do here. In this episode, well, all right. So we've done a few. We've done for sure. We do a lot of videos, like,
Right.
um, but at least at one point we did a whole franchise of movies. That
Mm-hmm.
being the Halloweens.
Right.
It was super stressful because we were filming like two a day and putting them out right before Halloween.
Right.
A lot of editing for Jerry and a lot of just I was just there. But we're doing it again
We're doing it
on
again.
on our time
Yep.
this time. We're gonna do the Friday 13th franchise. So we're here to talk about the first one.
The first. Yeah.
Friday 13th,
Friday the 13th.
1980.
Classic. Right. 1980.
Well,
All right. Let's start
so
it out. Yo, you
well,
got. No.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I
okay.
got,
No.
and then you can, and then I'll
And then
probably exactly.
that's how conversations work. Okay.
Exactly, nailed it.
Okay.
So when you think Friday the 13th, obviously Jason comes up.
Right.
People who know the franchise well knows that Jason's not in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is still held in high regard because it was something different. And I've always, when discussing the franchise, people are
Mm-hmm.
like, well, what about the first one? I'm like, it's good. Like,
Yeah.
it's just because it didn't have Jason in it, set up the story for the Jason thing. Like, it's still a good movie.
It is.
And then I watched it again. And now I've got some things to say.
Yeah. You studied it, and then you
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I get it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark where I enjoy these movies a lot.
Yeah.
I enjoy the franchise, but if there was no franchise, if we're just talking about Friday the 13th, like, what's another April Fool's Day
Mhm.
or Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is technically a franchise, but the first one's the best one, except for a little part in part two. But
The second one is the first one all over again.
well, yeah, exactly. But the second one has garbage today, so who
Yeah,
cares?
that's true.
But if we just cut all the other Fridays from this one,
Mhm.
this is the kind of, like, it could be obscure to like any of those like grindhouse horrors,
Mhm.
from the day. There's
Yeah.
not that pop. There's not that pop like in Halloween. There's not that, thing like
Mhm.
in in Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie
Mhm.
really does lack that
Mhm.
that thing.
Well, so from my understanding, this movie was made super low budget
Yeah,
independently and then sold to Paramount.
Paramount. Yeah.
And Paramount put a lot of money into marketing this
Mm-hmm.
movie. Had they not done this, this movie would be one of those movies that sat on our shelves that was like, oh yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that one
Friday.
time.
Yeah.
It would not be what it is. It is not a strong enough movie to be held on the pedestal that it is by itself without that marketing and without
Mm-hmm.
that legend that
Yeah.
goes with it. So I think that, and that's just an honest opinion.
Right.
Like, I don't get me wrong, I still love the franchise. Like, even this movie has good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, this movie as a standalone, it it's not as good as you remember it being. So if you
Yeah.
haven't watched it recently, remember it fondly. Don't
Yeah.
do what we did.
Yeah, I think the one thing when you say Friday the 13th,
Mhm.
you're lumping in those middle ones because the
Yeah.
middle ones are the really good Friday the 13th
Mhm.
movie. And so when you say that, people picture that those middle movies
Mhm.
and go, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of the bookmark movies, like, the first one, or, Jason Goes to Hell, which is technically a Jason movie. It's not a Friday movie, but like Jason Goes to Friday 8,
Yeah.
Jason Goes to Manhattan and shit, where it's just like people are just like womp womp,
Yeah, but those are the memorable movies.
right.
Like you go 3 through 9, those are the memorable movies. When you say Friday the 13th franchise, those are the ones that people think of.
Right,
They
right,
think of Jason with that hockey mask, even the blue one sometimes. Um, and that's what they think of. They don't
right.
think of the first one or the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So let's get into this.
Yeah, let's get
Let's
into it. All right, Showmaker, what made this motherfucker?
the camera.
You
Like
going
just
camera work?
Yeah, well, only because it's so reminiscent of Evil Dead, and
Okay.
like the killer's POV,
Yeah.
basically, not the camera. So like not the actual camera. I don't know what they use, but the killer's POV. I do like that, and for some reason, I feel like it works best in these old movies.
Mm-hmm.
When they do POVs of the killer in newer movies, I'm like, but
Right.
these old movies, it has a feel to it, and I like it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go with
It
the
definitely gives like us a sense of tension, especially like when like they're swimming in the pond, and the one girl thinks she sees something over
yeah.
in the bushes and shit.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't we don't know if, the killer is over there.
Right.
It's just that our brain has kind of clued things together and say, oh no, there is someone over there. We just
Mhm.
can't see it.
Right.
So yeah, I'll give you that. Camera works good. I'm for my Showmaker, I'm going with Friday the 13th, the title. I really think that this movie would have kind of sat on the bookshelf if it would have been like Camp Killer or
Mhm.
something dumb like that, or, Camp Crystal Lake. Now it's, infamous,
Mhm.
that, but if this came out as something, like the counselor murderers or
Mhm.
something dumb like that, but Friday the 13th, it's recognizable. Everybody
Mhm.
kind of like knows, oh, that's a cool like Halloween,
Right.
and like those titles that grab you. And I really think that, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Another thing, and we'll probably get into it, is the work of Tom Savini.
Yeah, of
He
course
did,
we'll get to that.
yeah, well, he did an amazing job. So let's move on to Breaker. What's your
Okay,
show, Breaker?
breaker. The breaker is the rest of the movie. Um, the the in between the kills. Like these
Uh-huh.
movies were formulated. So these movies were initially supposed to be like what John Carpenter envisioned for Halloween. They were supposed to be independent movies. There was supposed to be no Jason.
Right,
There was supposed to be nothing like that. It was supposed to be a
right,
new story every single time.
yeah,
That's not what we got. But what it did do was basically go, all right, look, what does work are these brutal kills in
yeah,
creative ways. So every movie's going to have that.
yeah,
Outside of that, it's shitty acting from shitty actors, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. But that's
yeah.
also part
It's a
of its
simple,
charm.
yeah, it's a
Right.
simple
But
story.
that's that charm that we talk about when we say campy movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's that type of thing. But in this one, it just doesn't work.
Right.
It's too, I don't know. Like
I
even Kevin Bacon wasn't good in this. And it's
eh,
fucking Kevin Bacon. I mean, he was the best,
well,
but
yeah.
like
Yeah, he's the most
was he though?
memorable
Was he great?
character. Yeah. Yeah, there are I'll take that. I am going with kind of like story where it's like they have 1 week until these kids are showing up, and they're doing like just random
They
shit.
didn't
And wait a
paint
minute,
nothing. They didn't
N-
paint a
yeah,
building. Nothing.
this is the shittiest camp
Hmm.
ever. Are they only taking care of like 10 kids too? Because there's one cook.
Yeah,
You think that camp counselor thing, there'd be at least like 30 to
30.
25 for a bunch of kids, but
Yeah,
no, there's just one. There's just like 8 counselors
yeah,
or
yeah. I
7,
I noticed like
whatever.
when they're talking to the sheriff, he's like, "Yeah, we're just getting this camp ready," and like earlier, like or after that, they're like showing the exterior shots. I'm like, all that brush needs to get cleared. That
Yeah,
white building needs to be painted. Like your water doesn't work right in the
right.
bathroom. Like there's so many problems. Why are y'all
Yeah,
smoking
yeah,
weed and fucking like just dicking around?
yeah.
Like what is happening right now?
Yeah,
So
no
yeah, I mean
wonder the main
I'd kill them
character.
too.
Yeah,
Turns out it was their boss killing them because they
yeah,
didn't do their fucking job.
that's the story. But yeah, the boss is all like, he's like being an asshole, being like, we gotta do this and we gotta do this, but I'm going into town, so you know,
Yeah,
uh,
the weirdest thing is like the boss guy is in the movie 2 times for a total of 1 minute.
yeah,
Like he's there in the beginning being really predatory and weird towards the redhead girl,
yeah.
and then he's later at a diner and he leaves the lady very clearly, if you listen, like a nickel for change, like
Oh,
as the tip.
70s, 80s,
It was the 80s. That's
yeah,
not okay.
no.
um and the
Even when he
whole,
says like keep the change,
yeah,
she's like,
and you
oh,
hear her
thanks.
like you hear her put the change down and he's like, nah, keep it.
Yeah,
Or I don't know because my audio was off. I'm not
yeah,
really sure how it transpired. But
right, right.
anyways, uh but you can hear her put change on the counter and he's like, nah, keep it. She's like,
Not keep
thank
it. Oh
you.
man, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
put that extra aside on my house,
yeah.
um but yeah,
Yeah,
so
the story, my point is
it has
long-winded.
flaws.
The story is bad.
Now let's go to one of the good things. One of the pluses in this is the
Okay.
effects. Tom
Yep.
Savini
Yep.
doing his magic
Hmm.
can make some really good effects. The only thing that I'm really upset about is um if you watch the one girl get her throat cut, the cook, that's cut, that's edited,
Yeah.
because she only sits there for a little bit and goes and then falls down.
Yeah.
They cut that shit in this movie
Mhm.
really heavily, and it's like, oh, you know and I think they did that just for the amazing of Kevin Bacon's throat puncture, which
Yeah.
looks great. um and then there's small things in there too, that can be unnoticeable but looks really great. Then there are some goofy things like Mrs. Voorhees' head getting cut off and shit that looks kind of silly.
Yeah.
But and everybody remembers the ending where
Mm.
she's in the boat and it's
Mm.
this really peaceful moment. Maybe that should be my showmaker, is that peaceful moment, and then that kid comes jumping out and like it's playing that music. It's like one of the really only scary things or like shocking things in the
Yeah.
movie. And then he pulls her down, and then that actor goes to fucking horror cons and puts up first Jason on
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so on the DVD of the second one,
Right.
there's a panel and him, Kane, all like 4 Jasons are there.
Yeah.
And he is a weird fucking guy.
Yeah, he is.
Like he looks like a magician. He looks like, if you think of magician in your head, that's what this dude looks like,
Right.
and you can't trust him. Like he is the fakest person I have ever seen in my life. Like from a mile away, I'm just like, that dude is fake. He's
Yeah.
going to lie and he is going to tell you some bullshit. But anyways,
I'd still like his
um,
autograph, but
yeah,
you know,
I'm probably good on that
yeah. But yeah,
because
like,
he was Jason for 4 seconds in one movie, and he'll charge you $50 for an autograph. Like
yeah.
that's the kind of guy we're talking about.
Yeah, I'd still want Kane though, but we'll
Oh,
talk
of
about
course.
Kane when we get to Kane.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like, there are those moments with special effects and makeup that, Tom must have not been there because, like how many kills really are important in this movie, where it's like, Kevin Bacon and the one girl getting her throat cut, Pamela getting her head chopped off. But there's like the one girl who gets, like, I guess tied up in some rope and shit and thrown through a window, Like, is there anything like,
Well,
oh,
okay,
the
so
girl with the axe. Yeah, the girl with the axe and shit.
but the whole thing is like no kills are important to the story.
Well, no, I'm just saying that look good.
Oh, well, okay. So
Because we're
then
going to be going through this and like that's going to be a majority of the talk.
well, yeah. So let's go with so I have two little things that I want to add into the book report. What is your favorite kill?
Okay, my favorite kill is the Kevin Bacon.
Okay. What is the most creative kill?
Kevin Bacon.
Okay. My favorite kill is the girl with the axe to the face.
Okay.
That looked the best to me.
Okay.
Like that looked really, really good. And the most creative, obviously, is Kevin Bacon.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. I think
Well,
that we
what's
should
the
do that
weakest
on
kill?
yours. The throat slitting.
I say it's Steve, or yeah, or what, mustache man. Like he's just like, oh hey, what are you doing out in this mess? And then we don't even see him get like stabbed in the
Yeah,
stomach. It's just like,
yeah.
and then that's it. Then I'm just like, you could be fucking kidding me. I mean, even
That's
like the
true.
the
That's true.
kills off camera,
Mhm.
work because then when our
Our
final girl
brains.
is, yeah, even, well, when our final girl is running through and we discover it, going, oh my god, that works in this
Yeah.
movie, because it's like we don't know who the killer is.
Right.
So it might be, the guy with the machete that we were seeing earlier, who's
Right.
Bing Crosby's son.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's dead,
Yeah.
so yeah. All right, got anything else you want to attack on before I move on?
Nah, that was it. Just best kill, creative kill.
All right, soundtrack.
Soundtrack is I didn't write anything because
Uh,
there were
yeah.
I
Well,
mean
we have the kind of like the kill, mama.
so yeah, okay, since you said those words, I'm going to bring this up. There is no there is no way in hell that that's what that is. Like I think that that's one of those things that became a legend and like, oh, that's what they did. Because for I've watched the first three already.
Right.
That is not the sound coming out of anybody's fucking face in that movie. Like nobody goes kill mama. It's like
Well, yeah, it's the
that's
Harry Mancini and stuff doing it, and
but
then yeah,
when he's like, oh yeah, we came up with this idea, kill mama. Like no, you didn't. You said that later because the mom becomes such a big part of the thing.
right.
And if you listen to the first several movies, that is not the sound that that is.
Yeah, even as
Period.
kids, we were just doing,
Yeah.
you know, um, but I will say that Harry does a good job, with making that
Right.
synonymous.
Yeah.
Walking around the woods as kids, and camping and shit,
No, of course.
that shit. Same thing goes with kind of like a homage to Psycho,
Mhm.
that
That
when
string.
that shit. I mean, that's synonymous with Jason, I feel,
Mhm. Yeah.
or the Fridays. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that is, the soundtrack. Now you were talking about the camera work, okay?
Yeah.
Like POV camera really into, great. uh, I was trying to say
Perfect.
innovative and
Yeah.
and I was just like, I'm gonna fuck this shit up. So it's cool. Um, and then you get those. I do like some of the camera look. Some of it looks kind of like good,
Well,
but there's not very much like
so
oh moments.
so no, there isn't. I mean, a lot of it is just like the POV of somebody creeping on somebody else.
Right.
But there are moments where it feels very Evil Dead, and
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
camera is just like, that POV is just happening, and it feels good and it looks good. And
Right.
then there's moments where it's just like very clearly a man's hand pulling down some branches, and then later, the killer
Right.
is revealed to be a 7-year-old woman. So
The
even
most
when you see the body like of the killer killing people, because you do catch glimpses of it,
right.
there's hairy knuckles, like hairy fingers, and like all this stuff that is clearly not this woman's hands or arms.
She's been taking
Like,
testosterone, man. Fucking that's
yeah,
how she
dude,
threw that
she's just been
one.
hyping like
Yeah.
jail
Yeah.
workouts every day at the camp. Like,
Right. Right.
but kill these fucking kids when they get here.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what do you think of the Pamela Voorhees reveal? Like, is that shocking? Like, oh my
Uh,
God.
so the idea of it is shocking, but the way they did it was not done properly. Like, she starts to tell this story, and like I always feel like bad guys in movies do this, where they start to explain things, but they explain too much.
Right.
Like, she's like when she sees her, she's like, "Oh, I'm Mrs. Voorhees. I've known the Clarks or whatever for thousands of years."
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then she goes, "There was a kid that drowned here named Jason Voorhees." Well, then that's your fucking kid. Like,
Right.
you don't need to tell the other 10 minutes of this fucking story.
Right.
Like, we now know what's happening. You're killing people because it was your son.
Right.
Like, even without knowing, the rest of the franchise and the story, you can put those two things
Yeah, we
together.
could connect the
So
dots.
it, like, the idea of it being the mother of a kid named Jason the Drown, good idea, bad execution.
Right.
Like, and the whole reveal, like, she played a psycho really well. She did a good job.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Killer mommy and shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um I think it would have been good to have at least mentioned her in the beginning. Like, oh yeah, Pamela will be by later on this evening to make sure that I don't know, the generator, the bug juice is all together.
But
Some
then
shit.
if you do that, then does it make it easier to figure out that that's her throughout the movie?
I think we not figure out, oh, she's killing them, like because our brain automatically goes to, like a Michael Myers type of character, but if we kind of like it like a Scooby-Doo episode, because this is a Scooby-Doo thing,
Mhm.
where it's just like, oh my God, Mrs. Voorhees is the killer. Yeah. That shit.
Yeah.
And so we should have been like, instead of just like, who the fuck is this random old lady, you know
Mhm.
oh hi, I know the,
So I feel like because they did that, it worked.
yeah.
Because when she gets out, she's like, "Oh, I've known them for years. I used to work here or whatever."
Right.
So like she gets, it's a very quick explanation. It's a very quick, like, here's this person, here's why she is here,
Right.
and you can trust her because she's an old white lady,
Right.
which you can't trust them, but
No. No.
it gives you the sense that you can trust her because she's grandma,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And so like that, it works. But I still feel like if they went the Scooby-Doo route where like she was around the whole time, or at least mentioned
Mm-hmm.
throughout, like, keeping in mind, like, you're watching this as somebody who doesn't know anything about these other ones because they're not out yet. So
Right.
all you're doing is watching this movie, and you hear them mention like Jason, you hear them mention Ms. Voorhees or Pamela or however they describe her.
Right.
Then throughout the movie, you're like, where's that lady that they were talking about in the movie?
Yeah.
Because there will be no other mention of her till the end. That person's going to start running through your mind, because that's what happened to me when the camp the head camp dude was like, all right, y'all, have this shit fixed when I'm come back. And he was gone for days
Yeah.
in town
Right.
somehow
Right.
at a diner. But like that's what ran through my head because he was so little and so insignificant that when I was watching it, I was like, I bet you it's him.
Right.
Like, and then at the end, like three quarters, you see him get killed, and you're like, okay, well,
Yeah. No, it's not like it needs more of like an M. Night Shyamalan Lama Ding Dong kind of like twist or
mhm,
reveal. I
yeah,
think that's would have saved this. But I mean, for the 80s or late 70s, whenever this came out,
1980.
in the 80s, okay, like I guess it worked,
Mhm,
and it worked well enough to where it started and created a franchise. The only
yeah.
thing I can think is that, because of the success of Halloween and the success of, down the line, like your Freddy Krueger's and, that built up, like, we need a central character now.
Mhm,
And the only
yeah.
thing they could think of was like, Jason. Wait a minute, Jason's fucking dead. Well, what if he isn't? And he never fucking dies, and it's just like, well, how the fuck are we gonna keep bringing this guy back? Who fucking cares? Jason is the fucking cash cow. So
It's true. It's
yeah,
true.
yeah. All right, so Killer Thrill.
I definitely, I'll be honest, it was a kill. It
Is it?
was, yeah, it was hard to watch. Well, okay, so it's hard to watch because one, when you're in this like review mode, you pick the movie apart.
Right,
So you ruin every movie for yourself essentially. And then on top of that, all the things that we talked about that was wrong with it.
right, right.
And then I've seen it so many times
Yes.
that like I don't need to see it anymore. The
Don't
other
wanna.
ones, for some reason, the other ones, maybe this speaks to how the movie works. I've seen
Right.
all the entire franchise 30 times over.
Yeah.
This one stands out. I remember every step in this one. I do
Mm-hmm.
not remember if you asked me which one was which, I would be like, I have no fucking clue.
Okay.
Like I know like the blue mask is number 5. Like I know
Yes.
that uh I know little things like that that like will eventually kick my brain into remembering which ones are
Right.
which. But right off the top of my head, I don't know which one he went to Manhattan in. I don't know what
8.
happens in Jason Goes to Hell. I don't remember
That's
fucking 7. Like I don't remember them because they're the same. They're one fucking movie.
right.
Person, place, bunch of weird murders and tits.
Right.
That's the Friday franchise, but this one is so unique that I do remember it. Even though I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying it's a kill, it may be actually speaking to how well this movie worked because I remember this one and I don't remember any of the other ones.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a huge fan. Like, I will even say that I'm a bigger fan of Jason than like Freddy and Michael.
Okay.
Um, you know, so that's like my number 3 on my Mount Rushmores. But uh yeah, for me, I'm gonna go Thrill. Just because, like, yeah, we've been shitting on it and it's not as good as the other ones,
Mhm.
but it is the beginning. And compared to Halloween, where like Halloween, the first one's good, the second one's really good, the third one's awesome, and then the rest are just fucking who gives a shit.
Mhm. Mhm.
the
Except
the
for, of course, Rob Zombie's second
oh
Halloween,
yeah, yeah.
because that one was genius.
But the the progression of Friday, I feel, is like the first one, meh. The second one, okay. The
Yeah.
third one, hey. The fourth one, wow. The fifth, like we're building up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has like this like Okay, then it's done. You know, like it goes down pretty fast, but yeah, so I'm gonna go thrill. All
Okay.
right. You consider this a cult classic?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you?
It
I
is.
really don't because of how popular it is. Like the first one, a lot of people will go, oh, that first one,
Okay, but that's my whole point with what we were saying in the beginning. When you say Friday the 13th, nobody thinks of this one.
Right, right.
Everybody thinks of like four, five, six, seven.
Three,
That's what
yeah,
Friday the
four.
13th is to people. So when you
Yes.
go, do you like Friday the 13th? Somebody will be like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then you'll be like, no, the first one.
The
And they'll
first, yeah,
go,
okay.
fuck yeah, I love those movies. And then you
Okay.
go, okay, who was the killer? And they'll be like, Jason, because nobody fucking remembers this. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
That's
people,
even a bit on Scream.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. But like, uh, but that's my point. Like, people, even if they go, yeah, dude, I love this movie. No, it's actually for the people who enjoy it. And I do enjoy it. I'm
Yeah.
being rough on it right now, but
It's that middle block.
it's it it is a cult classic to them.
Okay.
To everybody else, it's Friday the 13th. It's Jason Voorhees.
Right.
Like it's wrapped up in the name, not the
Right.
movie
Right.
itself. So I do think that there is a cult following for this one specifically, not just the franchise.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but yeah, so I assume that you don't think so because it's
I
popular.
just don't see it like in the same light, or it's not, yeah, it's like popular,
Mhm, mhm.
where people are like, yeah, it's the most original and unique idea. It's not just Jason fucking killing a bunch of people.
Right.
And it's like, but that's what people wanted once they started giving them, huge body counts that make no fucking sense.
Now let
You
me
know,
ask you this. If Jason was like, if the Friday the 13th movie started out with number two, bang, all the way to the end, and the last movie was this one, do you think that like they tweaked the story to make
I think there'd
Jason
be a
have,
riot in the theater.
I probably, but like that would be the ultimate payoff though. That would be the way to tell this story. You see all
That's
this
a good
badass
point.
you see all this badass killing and stuff, and like, yeah, you're gonna be bummed because there's not a ton of brutal kills and shit. But Jason, they finally beat Jason. Jason's
Yeah, they
dead.
kill
And then
Jason.
Jason comes back one more time. What the fuck? Oh, it's
Yeah,
his
no,
mom. And she's not making pancakes.
right,
She's killing people.
right.
Like that's how that story should be told.
That's
But
interesting.
I do agree it would be a riot in the fucking movie theaters
Yeah, oh yeah,
if they did all that awesome and then ended on this note.
yeah. Now, would the mother be wearing the hockey mask?
Nah, I think she would definitely be rocking the machete like
Right,
on
right,
purpose.
right,
But yeah, no, I don't think so.
right. All right, now, would you pay to see this in the theater?
I mean, yeah, I have paid to see this in the theater.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
No, I don't. Yeah, I guess so. Like it would be
I mean, it's an
interesting and unique.
experience.
Yeah, it's experience. That's a good way of putting it. So, yeah, yeah. All right, Jacob, are you ready? What are you gonna start?
This is really difficult. Like I said,
No.
I've been rough with this movie, but
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate it. But and then but there's also I don't know.
Right.
I gotta go 3.5 stars.
You're gonna go 3.5 with this.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. I am gonna go 2.5.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm not, like I said, once it's that middle block. Once we get there, once we start doing three, four, five,
Mhm.
six,
Yeah.
that's when like it's
J-
like,
Jason
yeah,
X.
we're in, yeah, yeah, exactly. Jason X and stuff. Um, no, I am not looking forward to fucking like the remake, the fucking
I don't have any beef with the remake. I don't know what the fuck everybody's problem is. That
I
shit was awesome.
I do
But we'll get
like,
there. We'll get there.
yes,
We'll
yes, we
get
will
there.
get there, but yeah, 2.5. I have to keep it there because there are a lot of low stars on the list, but high stars will come. Don't worry. So
I
I need
think
to.
that this I think that this is going to be my lowest starred. No, this will be my second lowest. And then there will be one, well, it will either be tied or a little bit lower. None of
Okay.
the movies are horrible movies,
Yeah.
but this one is definitely the weakest of the franchise. And if it was a standalone movie, then
Hmm.
it would just be in a pile of VHSs in my shed.
Right. Right.
It would not be in my cabinet of like ones that I hold near and dear if
Right.
it was just a standalone. So